with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our first item on the agenda is special celebrations, and Mr. Flowers, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam President and board members, Dr. Sachs, and of course all of our guests. We're very excited to recognize these wonderful people this evening. We have a couple of exceptional individuals. First tonight, we're going, you might have noticed when you came in this stack of books here in front of our stage. And what this is are donations from Books A Million at the Huntington Mall. And we've been doing this for several years. Books A Million has, across the country, they pick somebody to give books to, and here, our local store has given to the school district, and every year our maintenance department goes and picks up these books, and they're distributed to students across Cabell County. So we're really, really excited that they do that. For the last 8 years, we've received over 15,000 new books from our community. It's 15,000 books over 8 years, and these are fun books. You know, these are all the books that the kids like and read. Much of the success for this drive, of course, it goes to all the employees at Books A Million, but one in particular, Skip Cameron, has really heralded this effort. And if you ever go to Books A Million, you know that he's going to hit you up for a donation to get to go to Cabell County Schools students. And his enthusiasm is a large part of the success. The store managers know that. They, of course, they're not able to be here tonight because they're having trouble covering, during this time. But Seth Cates, the store manager, Jennifer Baer, the general manager, both send their best wishes. They've done a great job. And I want Skip to come up and just tell you real quick, Skip, come on up here. Let's give him a big round of applause. Skip, speak right into this microphone and tell them why this is important to you.
I'm just thankful that I get the chance to do this for each and every child of Cabell County Schools. And I've been a cashier / customer service specialist for the past 9 years at Books A Million. And my enthusiasm is to sell and make the customer leave the store 150% happier than when they first walked in. Now, I may bug the crap out of them, but that's my specialty. And I am very thankful that we are able to give back to Cabell County Schools, where I graduated from in 2000, which was 21 years ago. But thank you all for this opportunity, and Books A Million and myself, thank you so very much for having me.
I will tell you that this year alone, Skip raised $4,625.02 in donations, which bought 600 brand new books.
Wow.
Stay right here just a second, Skip. I think the
I want to say that I ran into Skip in the parking lot, and Skip told me that he was very nervous. And I said, well, what are you nervous about? And he says, well, I'm here to get an award. And I said, well, don't be nervous. I said, be proud. And you did a beautiful job with your presentation and all that you do with the books for these children. I really applaud you.
Thank you.
Dr. Sachs, I'm going to give you the microphone here.
Thank you. Board members and guests, one of the things that makes our school district special, and I say it all the time, is our people. And Skip Cameron is quite the example of our people. And we have everyday heroes every single day, students, staff, and community members. And so as a new part of our initiative, I am starting to recognize the superintendent's superheroes of Cabell County. And Skip, you are the first superhero to our students. You have your very own cape. It's on now.
Sheree, you have an extra pen. Oh. They never leave mine alone.
I love it. I
I'll
love
give it back
this.
to
So congratulations, Skip. This is also the Superintendent's Coin of Excellence, which we give to all people that have gone above and beyond. But congratulations on being the first superintendent's superhero.
Oh my goodness,
Thank you.
I love it.
We intended to play the Superman music when this cake was being, put on, but congratulations.
I can sing.
Yes, we get to do his music. That's right. So congratulations.
Oh, I just
Thank you so much, Skip. We appreciate it, and you are our first superhero, so we're excited. Mr. Hurst even wanted me to point out that all these boxes stacked here are also full of books. So it's not just the ones sitting here. The boxes are absolutely packed full. So thank you so much, Skip. What a wonderful, wonderful recognition.
Yeah, Mr. Flowers, I just want to say, this is a great way to start our meeting this evening.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way to start the meeting. And like I said, you should be very proud of yourself. You've done a great job. Thank you
I'd like to
again.
point out that Skip's a former student of mine. And I don't want to, let's not talk about when it was. Okay, we'll keep that a little secret. He plays a mean trombone.
All right.
So proud of you, young man.
Yes, we are.
Well, while we're on the subject of books, funny enough, our next recognition is a young man that's working on being a community leader just like Skip, Mr. Evan Harbison, and he's a Cabell Midland senior. And Evan has done a great, great project at the Milton Public Library. I don't know if you've been up to see it at some point, but it's a beautiful project. Come on up, Evan. He, as part of his leadership, I want him to tell you a little bit about the project and some of the friends we have here that have supported him along the way.
Hello. Before I begin talking to you, I just like to
Hello,
thank.
you're fine.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to thank everybody here for allowing me to come here and
Just speak up when you're speaking, sir.
I'd like to thank everybody for allowing me to come here. I really appreciate it, and I just.
What your project is.
Well, my Eagle Scout project was roughly a beautification of the Milton Public Library. The first thing I was actually planning on doing was creating an outside reading nook near the kids section of the library. But when looking around at the library, I noticed that there were a lot of things that needed to be done. There was a kind of a second-hand walkway that was really not intended to be one, that was muddy when it was rained, and it just wasn't the most suitable walkway. And the entrance to the library was a little barren and not the most visually appealing. And so I took it upon myself to expand, not only doing the reading nook, but as doing the walkway and the entrance. The reading nook was, we took a bench that was there and we repurposed it, and we set up a bistro table there so that people could have a picnic outside of the library when the weather's nice, like it is today. And we took the dirt pathway that led from the parking lot, and we put down a crushed layer of crushed gravel, a good thick layer of crushed gravel actually, to create a nice surface to walk on. And then the entranceway, we decided to give it some much needed plant life there that would really suit the outside landscaping of the library.
Evan, tell them how much time you spent on the project.
Ooh, I spent a lot of time. To be honest, it was most of my summer.
Wow.
But it was at least 60 hours. it was a long time, and when as you can tell, it paid off.
I want to introduce some of your friends here that are with us tonight. We're very privileged, and I want you to come down, please. Miss Judy Rule, our director of the Cabell County Public Library, and Lynn McGinnis. And Lynn is the branch manager of Milton Public Library, and I don't know if Todd Nelson is here. Is he here? He was representing the Milton Rotary Club that gave you donations, right? Donations for how much did they give you?
They gave me first 200, and then they gave me a 100 bonus. Yeah.
So they saw the work he was doing. So if you guys wanted to say something about this young man.
This has been wonderful, and I went up to see it the other day, and of course it made everything else look horrible. So the maintenance department is not in love with Evan, but they've been there today cleaning up to make the rest of the outside of the library look as good as what he did. Thank you so much, Evan.
I think Evan forgot to mention the fact that he also did his own fundraising effort, and over and above, so his budget, which the forethought, the vision that he had, and what I recognized as he laid out his plans, and then of course spoke to Rotary and received their donations. He also raised money on his own, which exceeded what he budgeted for, so that the overage was handed to our library. So we might want to give those people at the main branch the overage to make it look as nice. But the most rewarding part, right, well, the most rewarding part for me, other than seeing someone who I used to see that was that big and now this big, that chose our library, because we do more than just check out books. We have all meetings rooms and fax and all kinds of different services, but I had always seen that nook as a reading nook, and so he just did a most marvelous job, and the best reward I've had is pulling into the parking lot and seeing someone sitting at the bistro table as I came waiting for the library to open. So it's been a dream come true. Very proud of him.
Evan, so did you get your Eagle Scout? Is that?
No, not yet. I am still currently working on it, but the big part about the Eagle, getting the rank of Eagle Scout is the project, and it's mainly to contribute back to your community and to develop leadership skills and planning and these other sorts of very key and important life skills that will obviously benefit any scout in the future.
Congratulations.
I have no doubt that you will get your Eagle Scout medal, because you are, without a doubt, you are an outstanding young man. I mean, for your age to take on a project like this, I mean, it's really, your parents are, I'm sure, so very proud of you, as we are as a board. We're very proud of you. And as far as your Eagle Scouts, just keep on working. I know how hard it is to get, because my husband was an Eagle Scout, and he talks about that a lot. So congratulations, and a big thank you from the Board of Education.
Board members, if you don't mind, we'd like to take a photo with you and our guests tonight. We'll start with Evan.
Okay.
And Evan, we'll just have you stand up here in front. And let's bring down Ms. Rule and the Milton branch manager. Yeah, the parents, of course. I'm sure they did nothing.
Yes.
I'm sure you all had have some dirty fingernails, right? Very good. This is Andrew. These are their microphones. Okay. Chris is going to take a picture. Anybody else wants to? Can do that. Chris is going to get you lined up. You might need, it might need to shift this way a little bit. You might need to shift.
Okay, yes, front row shift.
Yeah, this way, just a
Keep
little
going
bit.
this way.
Yeah. There we go. Bounce out with the board there.
All right, perfect. Ready? 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1.
Great job. Thank you all for coming out. Mr. Cameron. You want Mr. First? We'll take a donation. We got for our way. After our way to display this tape. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play your stand right beside the boxes here. And we're going to do like this.
Yeah, let's get
There
it
you go.
flowing over the book.
There you go. And then maybe the board members can go this way. And then kind of do a superhero. Yeah, I like the superhero thing. And you too. You got to do the superhero thing. Oh, we're really doing this all. There you go. Oh. Very nice. Okay. So we'll do one serious one, and then we'll do one. We'll do one serious one and one fun. One serious, one fun. You know, use both arms when you do it. You know, both arms. Okay. Okay, now both of you put your arms up. Okay, Skip, fly away. Here we go. Woo! Very good. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Skip. You're welcome.
Oh, do we have to start the serious part? 'Cause that was fun.
Okay. Now down to business.
On the business.
Watch, I just said, do we have to leave that part? Oh. You do.
Okay. Our next item is update on instruction and leadership.
Madam President, we do not have an instructional update tonight.
We don't have
Nope.
that this evening?
Nope.
Okay, how about the update on operations and support? Mr. Hardesty?
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Sachs. This evening, we're going to do a little bit different of an update. And what I wanted to do is introduce our COVID response team and give you all an update as far as where we're at, how we got here, and what we are currently doing and what we have developed to help notify the public. And so at this time, I'd like to have Assistant Superintendent Kim Cooper, our Safety Manager Tim Stewart, and our COVID Response Secretary Patty Gillespie come down. And, oh, you're already here. Mr. Flowers has the presentation up on the screen, and you all have a copy of it. It's called COVID-19 Protocols. This time, I'm going to let Mr. Cooper take over.
Thank you, Mr. Hardesty. Ms. Neely, board members, Mr. Sachs. Our active case reporting table is updated daily after contact tracing has been completed by school and district staff in cooperation with the Cabell County Schools Chief Health Officer and the Cabell-Huntington Health Department. Data reflects cases reported beginning August 23rd, 2021. Cases are considered active until 10 days after the last date of exposure. Cases will be removed from reporting charts after quarantines are lifted. We appreciate your all's patience on this. And as we continue to work to improve our reporting system, our intent is to provide information as quickly and as accurately as possible. Now, I know that there's been some questions about the website. So to help inform parents and the community about active cases of COVID-19 in our schools, last year we established an online active case reporting page on our district website. This page was not a requirement of any local, state, or federal health agency. It was simply our effort to be as transparent as possible with parents and health officials about the current state of COVID-19 in our schools. This past summer, we were fortunate to have a steep decline in positive cases, and there wasn't really a need to maintain the chart, and it was not included in the redesign of our website. However, as the school year began, we were learning more about the Delta variant of the COVID-19, and we're seeing an increase in our own cases. We decided to recreate the active case reporting page on the new website. When the school year began, there was a small lag in the reporting time. Our team would post a case to the website after confirming a positive test result and contacting all those who must quarantine as the result of the exposure. This process can take anywhere from several hours to a day, depending on the number of individuals impacted. As the number of cases began growing, more focus was being put into the critical work of contact tracing, often late into the evening, and the lag in the reporting time on the website increased. This lag in reporting caused some parents and some staff members to question why. If we were placing people in quarantine for exposure to a positive case in their schools, those cases were not reflected on our reporting webpage. We listened to their concerns and we concluded that they did have a valid point. We can and could do it better. Recognizing this growing lag was becoming a serious issue, our team gathered for an emergency meeting to address all concerns expressed and to redesign our reporting process. As a result, we are now posting all cases much closer to real time, often before investigations are even complete, or those who need to be in quarantine are notified. Although the information posted may be incomplete, our community will have a more timely picture of developing COVID-19 case activity and can encourage disease prevention measures to protect their own families. Then, as cases are confirmed and quarantine calls are completed, we'll work diligently to update the website with the most current information we have by 4 p.m. each day. We want to thank all the parents and the staff members who brought this matter to our attention, and we hope that the changes that we've made in our reporting system will reaffirm our commitment to transparency as we navigate the changes and the challenges of keeping our schools safe and open for the benefit of all. We did create some additional documentation so that we could have the information onto the website and keep everything in a manner that could be understandable to all. So right now I'm going to have Patty Gillespie come up and she can go through the different forms with you as to what we will be using or what we are using.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Sachs. My name is Patty Gillespie, and I am a little bit better, okay, sorry. And so I'd like to share with you a couple of forms. I believe they're up on the PowerPoint, and you have them in your presentation documents. The first one is the COVID exposure quarantine list. This is a form that I come up with. This contains information that we need for ourselves, and it's also information that the health department requires from us. This form, when this is received, there's either one or two options on this. If the school, once a positive case has been reported, then the school will gather the class lists and all the information, all the students that need to be contacted. And if they have the employees that are able to do that, they will do that on site. If not, they get this information to me, and then I do that. Well, not just me, but my team as well. We have a team that works with us and make these calls to the parents and make them aware of their child's exposure to a COVID positive individual, and what their options are as far as testing and quarantining and those things. So this form is really vital. And then this file is maintained obviously by school, and then if we need to refer to it at a later date, we do. If the school completes it, then they complete it on site, then they email or fax it to me, and then I make obviously the adjustments to the website to report, all the latest information, and then send that on to the Cabell Huntington Health Department as well. And then we maintain this information in our file. Any additional information that's included with this, say for instance, a lot of times people write extra notes or things like that, I maintain those as well, just in case we have to go back. A parent calls, I take a good deal of parent calls where they have been called initially, and it's kind of like sometimes, when you get a call, you don't really know the questions to ask, or you're kind of stunned and you're not quite sure what all they said. And anytime we call, always give them my phone number for them to get back with me if they ever have any questions or anything that I can help them with. And they may have some questions about work, schoolwork, and things like that. And of course, I direct them to the school on that. But anything having to do with this, I have them to please call me back. And if I can't answer their question, then I'll find out who can. Okay? The next form is the COVID positive case, and this is in relation to the actual COVID positive case and their family, because there may be siblings that need to be quarantined as well. And so the information at the top, just like the other form, is on the quarantine and on the COVID positive individual and their information. And then as you can see below, siblings, family members that may need to be quarantined as well. And it's the same information that we have on the other form, obviously, that the health department does require that we report to them. The last form is the one that as these cases come in, and as they are worked, they are added to the website every day at 4 o'clock. Well, actually, I start before 4 o'clock. Sometimes it takes me a little later after 4 o'clock, but they are updated. And this is how as the forms come in, obviously I put the high school name. Now the second column says the name of the positive case. That is information that is only known to me. That is not divulged to anyone. And the reason why I do that is because if I get 2 reports from, say, Barboursville Middle, and they're each one positive case, they're the same dates, same numbers, same everything, then I'm looking at that going, wait, is this a duplication? And that duplications do happen. Schools will send them in thinking they've already faxed them, or that they haven't faxed them, and they do. And so, that's something that I'm always guarding against, duplications. So the case, as you can see on the form, if you look on the prior forms, the student name is the case name. And again, that information is not divulged to anyone. That is information that I keep just so I can be sure that we're not having any duplications. And it's quite easy to do, when, especially in the school system, when you have several people maybe doing the calls, and one has faxed them and the other one's not aware that the other one has faxed them, then we start having numbers that are not accurate. So this is how I try to keep it as accurate as possible. I just updated the website before I came down here. The active numbers that we have right now, we have 127 cases that are positive. We have 1,010 quarantined. There are 31 high school entries, 30 middle school entries, 78 elementary entries. And we have approximately 15 staff that are either out or pending test results.
Can you go over those numbers again?
Yes. On the website currently, we have 170 cases. 170 of them are positive cases. And again, some of those may be pending quarantine because there's still, actually people are, we have about 4 or 5 cases right now, but before I came down here are still being worked on. So I don't have quarantine numbers on those. 1,010 quarantined, and there are entries from 31 high schools, 30 middle schools, and 78 elementary schools
How about,
listed.
what was that last figure?
78
78.
entries from the elementary schools. And we have approximately 15 employees that are either out or pending testing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.
Well, I want to, we don't want you to leave on that note. I want to thank you so very much for this great report. Really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And excuse me just a second. I really want to thank you for letting me serve the students of Cabell County in this. This is
Well,
this
God-
is
God
a
bless you for
it's a
helping.
challenge, but it's one that I am very willing to
Well,
help with.
we appreciate you and God bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madam President and board members, I don't know if you're familiar with Ms. Gillespie, but she was our benefits coordinator here in the district for I don't know how long time. And when this position was created to assist with contact tracing, she jumped at the chance, and so she applied for the position. And so we're very fortunate to have her.
We're very lucky. We're very lucky to have her.
And I will say that on just about a daily basis, Patty and 2 or 3 of the ones that work at the district end of the COVID response that aren't here tonight because they're still working. Patty will work probably up to about 10 o'clock, either here. In fact, the entire team does. This is not a 7 to 3 job. This is whenever you get a phone call. So the next gentleman that I am going to introduce to you is Tim Stewart. I regularly get emails from him at 1:30 a.m. and he's here, doing it here. So again, I am blessed with good people. Mr. Stewart?
Good afternoon, Madam President, board members, Dr. Sachs, Ms. Hornbuckle. We have developed guidelines. There are 4 different ways that a parent is going to be notified or find out that their child is quarantined, okay? 3 of which could catch them totally by surprise. Obviously, the first way is if their child tests positive for COVID, which they're going to know that because they're the ones that has taken them to get that test. The other 3 ways, like I said, could be a total surprise when they get that phone call. It's the COVID response team. Just as Ms. Gillespie indicated, a lot of times they're sort of leery. They don't know what's going on. So what we have developed is guidelines based on the 3 different ways that you can be quarantined based on exposure or symptoms. Okay, this is what our nurses use. This is what our administrators use because it's not just the COVID response team. It is many, many individuals in our schools who are working to contact these parents so that we can timely identify anybody that's exposed or symptomatic and that they can be given the proper information on how long they're going to be quarantined. Okay? So it was really important that we get this together because, unfortunately, we're not using the same rules as last year. The variant is a lot different. It's completely different. So we had to start from scratch. We used the West Virginia Department of Education guidelines in conjunction with our local Cabell County Health Department to finalize these guidelines. We've also put them on our website so that parents can actually look that up. They will know exactly what we're telling them as far as quarantining for their students, and they can follow it online. Each one of those sheets will have a revision date, so if we change it, they will know the latest revision, because unfortunately the rules change and we are not in control of the rules. So number one, so the first way that the number one reason why a parent will get a call from us is because their student or child has been identified as being exposed to a positive case. So when I say exposed, I'm saying it's 3 feet for 15 minutes or more in a 24-hour period. So it's 36 inches, 15 minutes, a 24-hour period. There's when they're going over the sheet that Ms. Gillespie gave out, there's really 3 main questions on there they're going to go over. They're going to ask their child, the parent, does your child currently have symptoms? And when I ask for symptoms, there are 3 specific symptoms that the West Virginia Department of Education has identified. That's a fever, that's a sore throat, and a cough. So those 3 symptoms, we're going to ask them, does your child currently have any one of those 3 symptoms? The second question we're going to ask them, has your child been vaccinated? And obviously, if they're below 12, that answer is going to be no. And then the third question we're going to ask them, has your child been diagnosed with COVID during the last 90 days? Because if you have been diagnosed with COVID in the last 90 days, you are exempt from quarantine purposes. So based on those 2 sets of answers, symptoms, no symptoms, vaccinated or non-vaccinated, you're going to come up with 4 different scenarios. 4 different scenarios that give you 4 different quarantine times. So it's important that they can understand exactly what the quarantine periods are. So that's the first set of guidelines. They're exposure to COVID positive case. And as you can see, if you go down the line, no symptoms with vaccination, no symptoms with non-vaccination, symptoms with vaccination, and symptoms with non-vaccination. And I won't bore you with the details, but obviously if you have any questions, feel free to ask me at any time. The second way that a parent is identified about their child being quarantined is because of symptoms themselves. So when I say symptoms themselves, that means they've not been exposed. They're not one of the people who's been identified as being within 3 feet for 15 minutes in a 24-hour period. They simply have one or more of the 3 symptoms. That can happen 2 different ways. The student can come to school, they develop it, or they go to the nurse's office, and the nurse determines that it's one of the 3 symptoms. The other way is the parent keeps them at home because they already realize that they are symptomatic, and they will call and let the school know that their child is symptomatic. Symptoms trump everything. Symptoms trump vaccination. Symptoms trump it all. So that's the dominant answer. That's the one thing that dictates the other scenarios. So if you're symptomatic, as we see on that sheet right here, that you are automatically recommended to take a test, to take a PCR test immediately. And then based upon the negativity or positivity of those results, that will determine your quarantine period. Now, the last set of guidelines that we've put on the website is probably the most confusing, and it catches a lot of parents by surprise. And it's to do with siblings, because if you're a sibling of a student who has tested positive, or even if you're a sibling of a student who has developed symptoms, then you're also going to be sent home immediately, which is a big surprise to them. And once again, symptoms trump everything. So if they are sent home with symptoms, the first thing that's going to happen is we recommend that they get that PCR test. And then based upon the PCR test, that's how we determine how long that they have to stay in quarantine. So we've got it broken up into 2 different sections: siblings of symptomatic sibling, and then siblings of a positive COVID sibling. So those are our forms and guidance that we are using, subject to change at any time. But right now, this is the golden standard that we've been given. And do you have any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I have a quick question, and I apologize. I wanted to ask you to clarify for some.
Yes.
First of all, Mr. Stewart, I want to thank you and Ms. Gillespie and Mr. Cooper. I think that the information that you have provided the board provides an example of just how much is involved in collecting the right information so that we can contact parents in a timely fashion, update our website so that we are able to provide information to the public as to what it's looking like in our schools. And so there's a lot to it. And obviously over the past 2 weeks, those processes have been evolving as we have continued to collaborate with our Chief Health Officer and the Cabell Huntington Health Department. So first and foremost, I want to thank Mr. Stewart also because you're exactly right. 1 o'clock at night, he's still here doing this work. So
Thank you very much.
as it relates to siblings with symptoms,
Yes.
the one thing I did not hear you say, and I'm not exactly sure myself, I'll be honest
Right.
with you, is if there is a child that has symptoms,
Yes.
one of the 3, and another child in the household has not been vaccinated, it sounds like that's what you do. If another child in the household has been vaccinated, do they have to go into quarantine or can they continue with a mask?
No. If you're vaccinated, that will get you out of all quarantines unless you have symptoms. So vaccination eliminates you from quarantines unless you're symptomatic, because once again, symptoms trump everything. So if you get that call and one child is vaccinated, but the other one was symptomatic, then the vaccinated student would be excluded from quarantine purposes. But you would ask the parents to monitor them for symptoms, because if they develop symptoms, they would automatically go back into a quarantine period as defined on this guideline.
Thank you.
Dr. Sachs, that was a very good question, because I wondered about that too, because I did get a few letters where the parents were vaccinated and one of their children couldn't get vaccinated because of the age. And they said in their letter that they were all quarantined now.
Right.
So that clears that letter up for me, because I really felt bad thinking they were quarantined because the child was symptomatic. And so I was so glad that Dr. Sachs asked that question, because, yeah, I hated that
Well-
those people would have to all not go to their jobs,
Right.
be restricted from their work
Right.
because of one child.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, that when I say things change, that is something that's changed in the last few days, because prior guidance that we were given is that when they reported symptoms, we did same as now. We asked them to test immediately, but we did have a 5-day. They couldn't come back till the 5th day. That has changed. As soon as they get a negative test, assuming that their cough, sore throat is getting better, and they've been fever-free for 24 hours, they can come back immediately from the day once they get the test results. So if they get the test results back in 24, 48 hours, they're getting better, feeling better, because obviously everything is not COVID, then they can come back, and so can the siblings. If the cough and sore throat is not better, but yet they've been fever-free for 24 hours, and they have that negative test, it would take a doctor's note stating that this was non-COVID related. But once they did that, once again, all the siblings could come back.
Thank you, Tim. You've done an excellent job, and we appreciate the time and effort that you have put into this. Obviously, a lot of time and effort. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Madam President, that concludes my update. I know it's a little bit different than what we normally do, but I felt like it was information that the board and the public needed.
not right, board hasn't anything at this time, do they? Okay, we'll go on then.
Thank you.
We're going to go on with the superintendent's communication. Dr. Sachs?
Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Sachs?
Thank you, Madam President and board members. I'll wait for a second for Mr. Flowers to pull that up. That's okay. You want me to go ahead?
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I was asking, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No,
ma'am.
no,
I'm checking with Jed.
Go ahead. I was just making some notes here.
Okay. Jed, are you okay? Oh, okay. Well, I'll go ahead and get started, and we can pop it up shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my descriptions are good enough for and create some visuals. Our first day of school, we haven't met since the first day of school, but our first day of school went extremely well. Our initial, and I wanted to report to the board that our initial enrollment numbers appear to be holding steady from last year. So it does not appear that we've had any decrease in population. And I'm optimistic that we might actually see a slight increase. The next thing I want to report is that the West Virginia Department of Education's Excellence in Education for the West Virginia Teacher of the Year and Service Person of the Year award ceremony is next week, which is on September 7th, which was one of the reasons that we moved the board meeting, as you all are aware. And the reason is because we have two finalists. Cabell County Teacher of the Year, Brian Casto, is a finalist for West Virginia Teacher of the Year, and Cabell County Secretary Shelby Lucas is also a finalist for West Virginia Service Person of the Year. So we wish both of them the best of luck next week in the celebration of excellence in education. I know that we have just two super high caliber candidates that represent our school district, and we just want to wish them the best of luck at the state presentation. You've heard a very comprehensive update as it relates to some of the steps that our team has been taking as it relates to COVID, COVID in our schools and in our community. Just as a recap, though, I do want to advise the board that the COVID-19 dashboard has been updated, and obviously, as we had explained, there's been multiple challenges to maintaining the dashboard, which did cause a delay in accurately reporting the data. I think after you've heard from Mr. Cooper and Ms. Gillespie and Mr. Stewart, it's easy to understand how some of those challenges, especially in the first 2 weeks, could come about. But the most important thing is that we've recognized where those challenges have been, and we've been adjusting as needed. Truly, I can tell you, as the district leader, I'm in amazement at how hard our people continue to work. But they have been overwhelmed, and they've been working long hours to identify the quarantines, to contact families, and to update our dashboard. And so I think that while I know that there has been some frustration surrounding the dashboard, while there's been some frustration surrounding quarantines and protocols, it's very important to point out that everybody in this school district is working in unison to provide the very best for our students. That's what we're all here to do, and we take that charge very, very important. The rise in quarantine numbers, as you heard today, across the district is due to our aggressive action in quarantining unvaccinated students and to prevent the spread of the virus. Schools are absolutely the fabric of our society, and when there's an increase in the rate of COVID-19 cases in the community, it's going to be reflected in our campuses. We continue to take immediate steps to further bolster our district's comprehensive COVID-19 safety protocol. Our hardworking district safety team and school-based staff are collaborating daily with the Cabell Huntington Health Department, as well as our Chief Health Officer, to ensure that we are taking the best approach to keep our students and staff safe. Through this collaboration, policies have been created and revised based upon trends and questions that we receive. The Cabell Huntington Health Department has assisted us in contact tracing. They help monitor the community spread and provide us that information. But it's the Cabell Huntington Health Department that is ultimately responsible for determining when a classroom or a school must move to remote instruction. Extra staff have also been hired and contracted to assist in contact tracing. That is something that I think doesn't get emphasized enough. You know, when we started the school year out, we had hired an additional 160 people across the district to help with learning loss, but also in some of these very important roles for contact tracing and the COVID-19 operational response. Custodial positions have also been added to ensure frequent and thorough cleaning of school facilities for the school year. And again, a dedicated nurse has been employed at each school to encourage good personal hygiene practices and to help address suspected COVID-19 cases quickly. There have been some issues where there are actual nursing shortages, so we work as hard as quickly as possible to get any kind of vacancy filled, so that schools do have that dedicated nurse, but they have been staffed as such. COVID-19 vaccinations for eligible students and staff continue to be offered. Voluntary weekly screening of students and staff will begin sometime next week. You saw probably a press release that went out. We're really happy that we can use this as another layer of being able to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And so we do hope that as many students as possible will have signed up for this voluntary screening each week. We expect to test approximately 10% of the students who have signed up to have voluntary screening each week. So if you sign up, it's not meaning that you're definitely going to get it every week. We're only going to take 10% each week as the metric of how many students and staff that we will actually try to screen. Frequent hand washing and proper coughing etiquette and sneezing hygiene continues to be encouraged. Desk shields are not required in classroom settings, but they may be used at the student's request, and so they've been provided. Frequent hand washing and proper coughing and sneezing hygiene continues to be encouraged. Hand sanitizer and masks are provided throughout the school day and extracurricular activities for students, staff, and the community members. And of course, parents are always encouraged to monitor their children for symptoms and to keep them home if those students are ill. Madam President, that does conclude my superintendent's updates for this week.
Thank you, Dr. Sachs. Before we get into to our regular business meeting, we have an item on here for discussion for possible consideration, considering the face covering for the schools. I'm going to ask for a motion to move that up to right now, so that everybody that's here won't have to wait through the whole agenda if they want to speak. So do I hear a motion to move that up?
Matt, we go ahead and ask her.
Do you want to have the delegations to
Yeah,
be heard
yeah,
first?
well, I'm
though?
going to read that in a minute. I just want to make sure that we move that up and then do the I'll read the delegation. I want the motion first.
So, Madam President, I think the question I have is would you want the motion to state that after delegations that you would discuss the mask option?
We could do it that way, so we'll go then to delegations.
Sure.
And then we're going to get a motion I'll ask for a motion.
To move that item, sure, okay.
Okay, the delegations to be heard. The school board recognizes the value of public comment in educational, financial, administrative, and other issues related to the board work. The board therefore provides a period of public participation at each board meeting of the board and publishes rules to govern such participation of our board meetings. Public comment is not open forum to attack school individual employees or board members. Each speaker is allowed tonight 1 minute to address the board. This is a business meeting of the school board. The board appreciates the public's input and will listen attentively, consider each comment, but will not respond, debate, or answer questions during comments on the agenda items or during public comment section. With that being said, I understand the topic of masks at the school has been contentious. As a board, we have listened to the opinions of many members of our school community at our board meetings, by phone and by email. We fully understand the arguments expressed by those on both sides of the issue. With that being said, we do not believe it is necessary to belabor this disagreement. However, to ensure your voice is heard, we will once again entertain brief comments on that matter. I do ask you keep those comments clear, concise, and to the point. More importantly, even if you disagree with the person speaking, I ask that you serve as a positive role model for our children by showing respect and kindness for one another. We're all here to do what we feel is best for the students of our district. When you are called to come forward, please state your name and address for the record. You have the list?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. First, Holly Seifert.
You don't want the motion, do you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to need that motion. I want to ask the board to make a motion to move item 6-2, no, not 6-2, I'm sorry. A 6-1, discussion of possible consideration of face coverings in the schools. We're going to move it up. I need a motion.
Madam President, I make a motion that we move 6.01.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Bond. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Parsons. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. First person. You want to call?
Sure. Holly Seifert. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Mr. Hardesty.
How long?
Oh, 1 minute.
Okay, I didn't hear. Thank you.
Gosh. Hi, my name is Holly Seifert. I am a member of the Huntington community. I am not only a parent to a first grader
Speak into the microphone.
at Meadows Elementary, but I am also a PhD trained biochemist who studies COVID-19. I have watched this disease kill. I have watched this disease tear up tissue. And I'm honestly appalled by the fact that we are letting our kids who cannot be protected by a vaccine at the ages of 5 and 11 not have face coverings. I am more appalled by the fact that we are not listening to scientists and physicians and our health department in regards to these guidelines, especially with our K through 5. The disinformation that is around is literally killing thousands of people and putting our medical resources in jeopardy. I spent 2 hours the other day trying to get my kid COVID tested because that's how many people were in line at the Cabell tents. Okay, just put that in perspective, how many people.
You're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay, so one thing that I just want to point out is that people say that there's a 99% survival rate. So we have 13,000 kids in our district. If we put that number to test, that would mean 130 kids would die. So all I'm saying is put a mask on. I'm not saying mandate masks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Gotcha. Next.
Jenny Pennington.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I would like to read a letter that I dropped off to the board when I unenrolled my 5-year-old daughter last week from Cabell County Schools. I just want to express my concerns and fears over this school year. I was very sad and angered to hear that Cabell County Schools has reduced COVID precautions when the Delta variant is increasing in our area. Last year, schools had appropriate precautions, but those have been thrown to the wind this year to the detriment of our children. I currently have a 5-year-old daughter that was redistricted to Nichols. I also want to note that I was never informed by Cabell County Schools that my daughter was redistricted. I found out on Facebook and took the appropriate measures to enroll her in Nichols. The principal and staff there are amazing. I was looking forward to her starting kindergarten, but after listening to the emergency board meeting, I was sick and enraged. My daughter is in a super tiny, overloaded classroom with 22 other young children. She cannot be vaccinated.
Wrap it up.
I just want to say that I am an advocate of Cabell County Schools. My son is a recent graduate of Cabell Midland. He was prom king, he is in the Army, and I wanted the same opportunities for my daughter, and I do not feel that she has that opportunity, so I enrolled her, and I'm homeschooling her, and I wish that you guys would do the right thing and make mask mandates.
Thank you.
Jana Stoner.
Good evening. First of all, I just want to say...
Bring your microphone up.
Sorry. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the time that you're putting into a very, very hard situation. It's hard, no matter what, to educate our children and to be that governing body over that. So thank you for your efforts, and thank you for your time that you spend for Cabell County. I'm a Cabell County graduate. My name is Reverend Dr. Jana Stoner. And I am so grateful to have had a Cabell County education. I have 3 children who also are enrolled in Cabell County schools, and I'm so thankful that they will be raised like I was, to believe that I can be anything that I want to be, and that with hard work and dedication, I can receive an education and pursue my passions and my calling in my life. What I'm asking for you today is just to listen to the educated that have been educated in their field, that have become physicians and doctors, and who have made that their calling and their life's pursuit. Just listen to their voices, and hopefully we will continue to educate our kids to be all that they can be and become those experts within our community of Huntington.
Thank you so much.
Claire Snyder.
Good afternoon. My name is Claire Snyder. My son Tristan Hornbuckle is a freshman at Huntington High School, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. I'm here as a parent and as a community member, worried about my son's friends and teammates and classmates. Like any sports mom can tell you, there's no such thing as other people's children. We are a community and we have obligations to each other. I've heard over and over again that this mask thing is a matter of parental choice, that county leadership or board members may be in favor of masks, but not mask mandates. Respectfully, that's absurd. It's an argument that can't be made in good faith at this point. We all know by now that my mask protects you and your mask protects me. A mask is not a seatbelt. You can't just buckle up while everyone else flies through the windshield. So to say to parents that they can choose to protect their own individual child by putting a mask on them is contrary to science and beneath the intelligence of everybody in this room. I ask that you impose a mask mandate on every person in Cabell County that is involved with the schools.
Thank you very much.
Amy Saunders.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Amy.
I'm Amy Saunders, and I'm a parent of 3 children in Cabell County schools. My youngest child is under the age of 12 and is not able to receive a vaccine at this date. And I feel that younger children are at somewhat of a disadvantage because they cannot have vaccine yet. So I'm here to advocate for my child and other children who cannot receive a vaccine yet. We know that vaccine and mask help protect our children. And again, our youngest cannot receive the vaccine. We're hoping in a couple of months that's going to be available to them, but right now it's not. And so I'm here to ask that we reconsider and think about our youngest, most vulnerable population in our schools that don't have that opportunity yet. Please reconsider and think about a mask mandate. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Elizabeth Saunders.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Sachs. speak out.
Bring your mic up a little.
For those that don't know me, I'm Dr. Saunders. I'm a board-certified internist and pediatrician and get the privilege of serving the community of Huntington and the surrounding area. I'm here today because us in the healthcare community need your help. We are overwhelmed. Our Now Care that serves the pediatric populations are seeing over 100 kids a day. We are seeing increases in other respiratory viruses, including RSV and flu. Our PICUs have been on diversion. Our pediatric floors are full. The hospitals are full. The other day I had an elderly patient with an acute appendicitis and couldn't direct admit them because the hospital was full. We are going to continue to see these increases in hospitalizations as the numbers due to the Delta variant rise. This is a different animal. It infects, for everyone infected who doesn't wear a mask, it has the potential of affecting 6 other individuals. If you wear a mask, it reduces that significantly. Please reconsider the vote.
Thank you.
Heather James. Heather James.
I apologize in advance if this sounds rude. I'm not trying to be rude. I just have very little time to say it. You all, if there's anyone in this city who should be...
Put your mic so you're talking right into it. There
I'm sorry, what?
Your microphone so we can hear you.
Okay.
With the mask, speak into it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If there is any entity that should be placing its trust and making decisions based on the experts, it's educators. There's absolutely zero reason for us to still be here in our 3rd school year talking about this, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. I appreciate all the work that the board has been doing on these wonderful charts and all this things about the dashboard and all that. It's wrong. And I know that you can't say they're dropping like flies. That would be a bad look, but they are. We have 34% of our students absent today because they're either symptomatic, positive, or quarantined. Do not believe everything you see. Don't believe that stuff. It is going to be a lag, and that's okay. It is perfectly fine for the board to come out and say, this is a really complicated and hard thing to do. It's going to be 3 or 4 days behind. But for them to look us in the eye and say, oh, it's updated every day at 4 and it's completely accurate, it's impossible for that to be true. And that's not a judgment on them. I'm not accusing them of lying. I'm just saying it's an impossible thing for them to do. When you change guidelines from here to here, you have employees who used their sick time, their own sick time, because they were positive or quarantined before, that now, if it had happened now, they would get paid. There's so much more that you all need to look into. And frankly, I don't know that you're allowed to just cut us off in a minute like that on that, but we'll be looking into that too.
Thank you.
Stefania Crabtree, please.
I'm Stefania Crabtree. I drive a school bus for Cabell County, and I'm in Huntington, West Virginia. I will just get right to the point. I have numerous masks that are scattered all over the floor of my bus after each run with the mask mandate. Why are there not biohazard containers for us to put these germ-ridden masks in to protect us? I don't understand why we're still here. I agree. I think the healthiest thing that we can all do for our children is to let them breathe, to let them be free, let the children be able to breathe. Let their immune system do their jobs. As a driver, maybe some people don't have vision problems, but it can obstruct your vision peripherally. So who is the liability going to fall upon if I'm coming to you saying it's a liability for me if I can't get the most precious cargo that I'm responsible for on my watch if something happens, God forbid? And I speak for not just me, but for other drivers.
Thank you.
And I would just please let me say this. The hospitals have been full for as long as I can remember, way before COVID ever happened. And since when did the CDC become our govern and our Bible?
Thank you. Thank you.
Misty Turman.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Misty Turman. I live in Milton. I'm just going to skip to, I'm here to talk and ask questions for
parents that have sent me messages. I said what I needed to say last time, so these are from them. Will you be issuing N95 masks to all students? Are you going to make sure they fit right? If we are going to be safe, then why aren't we doing it properly? Even the beloved Fauci thinks the paper-thin masks are not good enough.
Madam President.
Do you think
Madam President.
that this...
Yes.
Point of order, I'm sorry. Ms. Turman needs to speak for herself. We don't get to read from other people that are not here.
These are my questions too, or I wouldn't have written them down on my paper.
She's addressing the board president. Hang on one second.
Ms. Turman needs to speak for herself. We do not allow people to come and read.
Yeah, you're going to have to speak
Things from
for
other
yourself.
people.
You've got 1 minute, and I recognize your
Can
face.
I have my minute back?
I'll give you your minute back, but just 1 minute, and then, because I remember what you said the last time, and
I know.
and what I tried to explain is we don't want to be redundant. We've heard it all. We're just rehashing. So I'll give you your minute back, but don't read from somebody else's letter.
Okay, this is not someone else's letter.
Okay.
These are questions that I want to ask and people who I have talked to. And I would like my minute back.
1
please.
minute. Your minute's started.
Okay. Do you think this will ever end, or are masks going to become the dress code? We had this. We've been through this already. Why is everything automatically COVID-19? Nobody has allergies anymore. Why is a runny nose automatically COVID? Are you guys going to start testing for strep and flu? Why didn't anyone in our school system care about the spread of anything before COVID-19? Don't tell me it's political, because everyone knows that it started that way. After this mandate, what's the next one? Are we masking up because a few people filed a lawsuit? This is not a one-size-fits-all matter. Do you care that masks harm kids? Who's responsible when a kid gets sick from wearing the mask? I want it to be known that I have someone that wants to represent parents with children that absolutely can't wear a mask. So if you are interested, please contact me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Thacker.
Hello, Michelle Thacker. Sorry.
You can hold it if it comes out.
I was just a little short there. Okay. First, I would like to express my frustration with the fact that this board meeting didn't have the call-in option. At what point are we going to help and show respect to our healthcare community? The call-in option would have kept us from gathering unnecessarily. I have to ask again, where is the professionalism? We are presently in a meeting discussing exposure protocols. COVID never left, yet here we are getting current with the procedures. These should have been out in July. Last year, we had plans in place at what seemed like every glance. Specialists had a rotation of 1 or 2 weeks to help mitigate the spread. This year, our specialists see everyone. If we were orange or red, we knew we were going remote. This year, we have not been prepared for anything should school doors close. Last year, Jeb called every day with updates. This year, no Jeb. I miss you. Sorry, I like the calls. And then...
Wrap it up.
Okay, so I just don't understand why kids and parents and teachers, we didn't have a problem with these things last year. Yet here we are with COVID still, and we have issues with things that never went away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize in advance if I don't get this right, but it's Mandy Baum. Boom, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mandy Bohm, and I live in Barbersville, West Virginia. I'm music minister of the Church of God, and I teach music lessons. And I know that COVID-19 is a virus, and it's not going anywhere. And I just wanted to say the best thing about not forcing the mandate on parents was that anyone whose child wanted to wear a mask has that right and can do that, and we should protect ourselves. But anyone whose child has a learning problem, a social problem, or a personal issue with it wasn't forced to face further disadvantages. And I think the choice to not have to wear the mask is a personal choice, and I do appreciate everyone. I just wanted to say that what you decided last time was the right decision for parents, and forcing a child who is well and healthy to behave like he is sick isn't fair either. Thank you.
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels, I'm in Barbersville. I have 2 kids enrolled in Explorer Academy, 1st and 4th grade. I've got to state my concern for the board's utter lack of response to a very real, very serious, and very contagious disease for which our children have no vaccine. After sacrificing a year of in-person learning last year, countless hours with friends and family, and a great many opportunities in their very formative years, my children have been sent home to quarantine after a few short weeks in school. I feel this is a direct result of the board's negligence and disregard for our children's safety. At several junctures here in this hall, the board has decided to skirt safety protocols and leave our children at risk for exposure to COVID-19, failing to mandate mask usage, vaccines for in-person students who are eligible, and proper distancing and ventilation protocols has resulted in soaring cases and numbers in our schools in recent weeks. The pain and suffering of those children is unfortunately on your hands. I say this as a privileged member of our community. I have the luxury of being able to choose not to report to an in-person workplace due to safety concerns and the social mobility to come and go to take my kids to school as needed. Most parents do not have this ability. They must work in high-risk in-person environments in order to survive. Their children don't have the option to enroll in virtual school, nor is there anyone available to administer their work environment. It is your job to provide these resources to all children in Cabell County. I don't have the solutions to this problem here today, but the board's tone deafness and absolute lack of awareness and specificity is appalling. Hybrid classes, mask mandates, virtual options, flexible scheduling are all proven methods of mitigating exposure risks of spread. Schools need to start developing, implementing, and normalizing these methodologies now. Please do the right thing and provide the county with tools it needs to operate.
Thank you. Is that the end of the list? Okay. Okay, is there anyone that didn't get a chance to sign up that wants to speak? No? Okay. Well, before we take a vote on this, I have some comments to make.
Madam President, would you like me to first?
Yes.
Before, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm thinking it might be.
You go ahead and I'll do my comments when you get through.
Yeah, I just, as the board had requested that we place this item back on the agenda, I wanted to take the opportunity, after, discussing concerns that I have as it relates to, since school has started, obviously, I've been in the schools, I've been working with our team, and as I mentioned before in my superintendent's update, our tracing team and the school teams have really been working hard to identify close contacts when there is a positive case. We knew going into this that there were going to be positive cases. We knew that there were going to be quarantines. But we also have a deeper understanding of the guidance from the Department of Education and how those guidance protocols can also assist us in ensuring that as the spread continues and as quarantines go up, that we're able to protect the ability for in-person learning. We know, based upon the data, that in-person learning is the most effective course of action for most of our students. Virtual learning is still an option, and for some students it works very, very well. But we have to be able to protect in-person learning. And as you have heard from our safety team, the amount of positive cases is not really surprising to me, I'll be honest with you. The amount of quarantines is getting to the point where there's way too many students that are having to move to at-home learning. And so if we were to follow the guidelines of where the quarantining guidelines of masking, then we could curb the amount of students that are having to move from in-person to at-home learning. And so therefore, I would like to make a recommendation to the board for consideration. And so this applies for K through 12 and adult programs. My recommendation is in an effort to ensure continuity of in-person learning beginning September 3rd, 2021,
All staff and K through 12 and adult program students will adhere to the following mask requirements. All staff, students, and visitors, regardless of COVID-19 vaccination status, would be required to wear masks in school buildings unless an underlying health condition precludes mask use. If such a condition is present, then a student face covering exemption form, which would be located on our website, must be completed by a healthcare provider. Employees with a documented medical condition prohibiting the wearing of a face mask should consult with the appropriate personnel office regarding the process for requesting an exemption. Face coverings are not required outdoors, but they may be worn by individuals if they're more comfortable doing so. All staff and students, regardless of COVID-19 vaccination status, would also be required to wear a mask on a school bus, again, unless there's an underlying health condition that would preclude the mask use. Regarding music and choir classes, as well as singers and band, those students would also be required to wear masks indoors. Music, singing, and choir and band instruction should still occur regardless, even though there is a mask requirement. Gaiters and face shields would not be approved as substitutes for face masks. A staff member who is alone in their classroom or other office area would be able to remove their mask if no other students or staff are present. And staff members conducting meetings in offices or classrooms would be required to wear masks unless all adults have been vaccinated and remain more than 6 feet apart. Students would not be required to wear a face mask while actively eating or drinking during school meal times. And then also, if Cabell County is designated green, yellow, or gold on the West Virginia DHHR map for a period of not less than 5 days, the use of face masks for K through 12 and adult program students and staff would not be required, but would be strongly encouraged for unvaccinated individuals. For pre-K students and staff, students in pre-K programs would not be required to wear a face mask throughout the day. However, parents of pre-K students would be asked to send their child to school with a face mask. Face masks would also be provided for any student that may need one, but correct face mask wearing would be taught and encouraged with positive reinforcement during the school day. All pre-K staff and visitors, regardless of COVID-19 vaccination status, would be required to wear a mask in school buildings unless an underlying health condition precludes mask use. On a personal note, board members, as I also stated before, as we develop policies and practices in the school district, we rely on data, we rely on feedback so that we can improve those policies and practices. And in this situation, I do believe that having a universal mask requirement for our students and staff, especially during the heightened transmission at this time, would be the right course of action, with the guidance that as soon as the color code, the DHHR map would designate those 3 other colors, then we could go back to making masks optional. I want to also, in a full matter of transparency, we have worked very closely with the Cabell County Health Department and our Chief Health Officer on all of the protocols that were discussed this evening. While the Health Department and our Chief Health Officer would prefer to see masks be required outside, and is the big one. The Health Department would also like to see us use the CDC barometer as opposed to the West Virginia DHHR. The reason that I'm recommending we stick with the DHHR map is simply because I think our people are more familiar with the color code system. That's what we used last year. And so instead of using the CDC barometric, my recommendation is to use the DHHR. However, if the Cabell Huntington Health Department, if they, in a perfect world, they would choose the CDC one because they feel like it would be something that's more aligned with what's going on nationally. But I still think we still have a metric that we could use to determine when is it appropriate to require and when is it appropriate not to require.
Thank you, Dr. Sachs. Okay, having said that, I just want to read a statement before I cast my vote.
Madam President, before you read your statement, may I ask Dr. Sachs one question?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Sachs, I would just ask first of all, I think you did a tremendous job of, I know you got a lot of input giving us what you have this evening, and I appreciate it. But I wanted to ask you about the pre-K students. Does our Chief Health Officer agree with the part on the pre-K where masks are not required?
The health department and the chief health officer would like to see us require masks for the pre-K students. However, in my conversation with our pre-K manager, as well as our elementary executive director, one of the challenges has been, even with the students that are coming in with masks, is that keeping them on consistently is a huge challenge throughout the school day. And so that it doesn't become, my belief is that it doesn't become a stressor for those students. We would start out slow with trying to teach the protocols of how to wear a mask so that the students aren't, and the teachers aren't under that immense pressure to always be, because they're moving around all over the place. And so it becomes a big logistical challenge to be able to keep those on at different times. It could become a stressor for those kids. And so that was the reason that from more of a pedagogy side, I was recommending that we not require it right now, but we'll strongly encourage it, and then but we'll actually teach it and with positive reinforcement so they can keep the masks on longer and longer throughout the day. But if they're flat out refusing, we don't want that to become a barrier where the child's not wanting to come to school.
Got you. Let me ask one other question.
You go ahead.
And would it be appropriate to require it because of, I think the science is telling us that without a mask, one has, one don't. I think I'm not going to get in that discussion, but a mask prevents my germs from going to somebody else. Would it be appropriate to require it and then give leadance or put guidance in there? We understand this is a teaching period or training period for this age group. That's my question, and asking, would that be appropriate, sir?
I think that if there was some leniency so that the students weren't getting in trouble or that with that regard, I think that would probably be okay. I think the other concern is with those little ones is that as they, because a lot of those pre-K students have never had a social atmosphere until they get to that pre-K classroom. And so their interaction with their peers, their interaction with the manipulatives that the teacher has, their manipulatives with a teacher that's giving them guidance, especially early on in the year, is a little different than maybe what some of those students have been used to. And the other thing you find is they fidget with those masks a lot, especially as they've been interacting with other kids, they're fidgeting with the mask. I don't think there's a problem with it. I just think that it may put a little bit more stress onto the students and to the teachers in that pre-K setting. But if this board would prefer to put that requirement in place, then we'll make sure we provide all the support we can for those teachers to reinforce that expectation. I hope that answered your question.
Dr. Sachs, you actually did.
Okay.
But I guess
Well, are you asking then for a motion to include the pre-K? Is that what you want to do?
Madam President, I would prefer that, since that is the most protection that we could give to those pre-Ks, but also with the understanding that there's a training period for these young kids and for our teachers and staff. We understand
And
that
there are.
because I pull mine down every now and then and get a good breath, but but I think with that, I would offer that motion if it'd be appropriate at this time.
So you want to offer the motion that the mask be mandated for the pre-K?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr.
Madam Chair, I'd like to speak to Dr. Sachs.
Yeah, turn their mic on. Is it on?
No.
Okay.
Dr. Sachs, you're saying that they must bring their mask with them to school?
Well, we will provide the mask. However, with those little ones, we're suggesting that the parents have a mask that they bring for their child that's specific to them. And maybe what you find a lot of times, I'm just speaking from my experience of having a 3.5-year-old at the house. He likes his blue mask the most, and he may not like the paper mask that the school provides. So all I'm saying is that we would encourage the families, if they have a mask that their child likes to use, please send that with your child, so that we can use that as the tool to reinforce the mask wearing, as opposed to the mask that we have the child size masks that you're wearing right now. Those may not be as comfortable as one that the family would provide.
Well,
if they didn't have one, we would provide it though.
In other words, we'll provide the mask.
We'll provide the mask for anybody.
Child's mask in the pre-K.
Yes.
Also, the schools will provide a mask. Anytime one of these masks becomes soiled, they can change that mask, we'll provide changing a mask.
Yes, sir.
No matter if they change it 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah, I'd actually like to ask Mr. Hardesty to fill the board in on our current inventory and what we've ordered.
We had some left over from last year, not near what we thought we would need at the beginning of the year, so we placed an order for more. As we went through the school year, we actually doubled that order. So we are right at about 200,000 student masks and 200,000 adult masks. And when I say adult mask, it's not really just adults, because a lot of our high school students and some middle school students need to use an adult mask for comfort. And so we make sure that we have our masks available to all of our schools. Hand sanitizer and mask are available at all schools when students come in the door, and all classrooms.
Because the mucus from people's nose run down into the mask, the breathing of the carbon monoxide and everything. These kids are going to have to be able to change masks and put those old masks in a trash can with plastic bags. Same thing for the school buses. They could do that, as the lady was talking about. I mean, we can't expect the child to wear the same mask all day long.
Of course not.
And whenever they want one, they should have one.
And we have enough masks in our inventory to be able to take care of that.
Because
we'll have masking stations. We have masking stations as soon as students come in, but we also have masks that are available throughout the school day in different locations as well.
Because even my mask is getting damp, and I take an oxygen reading every morning while I'm having a mask on. It goes from 98 down to 60, down to 88 or something like that. Just the oxygen content. And so I take the mask off and breathe again. But I think these children need to change those masks as often as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons.
Madam President, oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask Mr. Shaw were you making that motion for that pre-K?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that part, okay.
Yes, Madam President, I would offer that motion that the pre-K required mask also.
To include, okay.
That's correct.
Pre-K.
With the stipulation that we understand there is a training period with that age group for their tolerance, and we will, as Dr. Sachs' statement already mentioned, that we will do teaching and how the proper wearing, et cetera.
But the motion is they do wear the mask.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Thank
I want to make sure I got that right. Okay, you've heard the motion, and that would be an amendment to what you recommend. So the amendment is that the pre-K students will be wearing the mask also. That motion made by Mr. Shaw. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
That motion was seconded by Mr. Parsons. All those in favor?
Madam President,
Okay.
before you vote,
Yes.
I wanted to provide an opportunity, though, for the board, because I want to make sure, Ms. Giles, can you come up, please? Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that Ms. Giles does not disagree with what I said, and that because she'll understand what's going. I want her to explain exactly what they'll do, but if this motion was to pass, that's all. So.
Good evening. The one time that Miss Adkins doesn't come to the board meeting. I just wanted to remind everyone that we also have 3-year-olds that have just turned 3. So they're barely 3-year-olds. So we don't have just 4-year-olds. We have 3-year-olds as well that are there on IEPs. So I just want to make that clear for your vote. I just want you to know all the pieces. And so we also have lots of those age children that we're just glad they walk in the door. Sure. And they're screaming and they're, so a lot of kids are young and really, really young, and we're glad they're walking in the door. So I just want everybody informed of the ages. They're not just 4-year-olds. We do have really young 3-year-olds.
So, Mrs. Giles, if you could also, because this will help me understand this as well, do you have any concerns with the way that the motion stands is that we would still require them, but we would be basically using them as the requirement is that we're going to be teaching them, and they have to go through the teaching process.
Yes, absolutely.
So
absolutely. I want it to be understood that we can't be punishing, and we don't want to go about them not wearing a mask in any kind of punitive way, because that is going to be a definite learning process that could take several months to get into. So I don't have any issue with that. I just want to make sure that we're all clear on, the type of kids and the age that we're talking about, and the difficulty of maybe keeping those masks on.
So, Mr. Shaw, do you want your motion, you still want your
Stand
motion?
as is. Yes, ma'am, and I would just comment, and I appreciate that, because that's a firsthand experience. But I imagine she, with some of her 3-year-olds, she's probably still going to the bathroom and wiping them when they, because it's all the training thing, is my point. Of course, I've dealt with 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. Everybody don't get it at 2 by the time they get there. I'm sure she does more than, but in any event, that would be my motion.
So,
It is an understanding it is a training process. Nothing punitive, ma'am.
We've got a motion to mandate the pre-K, and we've got a second.
Yes, ma'am. And the way I understand the motion, if I could just clarify it, is that since we didn't have an original motion on the floor,
We did.
the motion that the only motion on the floor that has been seconded is that the mask protocol, as I listed it, basically it's changed to pre-K through 12, would be the universal masking requirement as I read, and but the exception is that with pre-K that we would be teaching it more as opposed to giving it choice.
What do you want me to make? We've got a motion and a second, and you want me to do a roll call on those that want to amend the main motion?
Well, there wasn't, what I'm saying, I'm sorry, I may be confusing. There was no main motion.
Well,
I had
it
a
was a recommendation.
Yeah, so I think that the main motion is the recommendation that I provided, but to include pre-K, so it's pre-K through 12.
Okay, do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, so are we ready to vote on?
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I don't understand, I'll tell you. I'm not clear on what we're talking about, but I want to ask you about a statement that you made. You started saying, in an effort to ensure continuity of in-person learning. I guess I just want you to be very frank with me. Are we at risk, because of positive cases in our county, of being forced to go virtual?
I don't know the answer to that. What I can tell you that is if we continue on the current trend, there will be a significant number of students that will be forced to move to remote learning because they're in quarantine. And so if that happens, and if more staff would have to be in quarantine, then it could interfere with our continuity of operations, which would require us to go to full remote at that point. So the short answer is that we're on a trend that if it continues in that manner, we may have no other choice because of staffing and because so many students are out than to go to full remote. Under the current protocol, the guidance that we have for quarantining, if both students are wearing a mask, then that student would not have to quarantine. So it would greatly reduce the number of students that have been unvaccinated that would have to quarantine if we were to require universal masking in regards to this this motion on the floor for pre-K through 12, pre-K through 12 and adult program students.
So we would have to, because it is confusing with Mr. Shaw's amendment to add the pre-K. So you would have to change your recommendation.
Okay, so I will make my recommendation over again if that's okay.
I think that would be the best course for him to make the recommendation, so we don't have to vote on 2 different separate amendments, okay? So
Sure.
So, Madam President, my recommendation is that for students in pre-K through 12 and adult programs, that beginning September 3rd, 2021, all staff and K-12 students, as well as adults, would adhere to the following mask requirements that I read earlier, which is that they would be required to wear masks indoors, but not outdoors.
Okay.
and on school buses.
That satisfies your question then?
It does, ma'am.
And your concerns, okay.
It does, Madam President. Thank you.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say that, I'm fogging my glasses up too. Just take this down for a little bit. The vote that we are taking this evening regarding the mask is a difficult one. For me, as I am positive it is for each of our Board of Education members. With the community divided on the issue, no matter our choice, many people will be disappointed in the outcome. When we are faced with issues, this polarizes and there is no obvious adult solution. I often picture one of our children. It might be a little boy in kindergarten or one of our seniors preparing to leave us and be exposed to the world. With all the knowledge we have about the issue, what would I do to care for that one individual child? Yes, we have nearly 13,000 students, but each of them is a unique, special individual we help our families care for and support as they learn and grow. It is obvious from our health department reports that the cases of COVID-19, and in particularly cases of the Delta variant, has increased rapidly since the beginning of the school year. We have many students and staff members in quarantine and have had to quarantine several classrooms as well. What we don't want is for the transmission rate to continue its trend to the point our district is unable to continue operations, closing our buildings and moving students back to all remote learning. Is this what is best for the little child I have in mind? To be isolated at home, away from his friends, and falling even farther behind in learning? To me, the answer is resoundingly no. I want him to be greeted by the school bus, to enjoy our nutritious meals, and to see the teachers he loves and he knows loves him. I wanted this little boy to keep learning in a supportive environment where I know he can be successful. As a board member, we continually modify policies and practices based upon what we learn is best for students. While we started the year out with a policy that afforded individuals with options to mask, we have learned that as the virus has spread, so has the number of our students quarantined. Our role as a district is to do everything in our power to keep students in school and learning. Wearing a mask while at school won't make COVID-19 or the dangerous Delta variant go away. However, if there is any chance that it may slow the spread enough that little boy can remain healthy and in school for as long as possible, I just don't think there is any other choice for me but to try it. Hopefully, it won't be for long, and conditions in our community will improve enough for us to be remote, for us to remove the requirement. But for now, I am going to vote yes on the mask mandate. And I want to say another thing that's very important. The mask mandate is very important. But one of the other important things is that people need to get the vaccine. That is what is important. If everybody would get the vaccine, we wouldn't be having to worry about this right now. So my vote for the mask mandate will be a resounding yes. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else have any statements? I do. Okay, Mrs. Smalley.
I have not changed my mind because 2 weeks ago I voted for the mask mandate. Nothing that has happened since has convinced me that that was a mistake. In fact, it was a good decision on my part, and I faced a lot of criticism and booing and all sorts of things because of that. But I wasn't elected to come down here and be a yes man. I was elected to come down here and make decisions based on facts, and that's what I intend to do. Our number one duty as members of the Cabell County Board of Education is to provide for the safety and well-being of all students and staff. It is our responsibility to base our decisions on facts, science, and data from the medical community, including our own chief medical officer, the county health department, and infectious disease experts at St. Mary's and Cabell Huntington hospitals. The past 2 weeks have shown the surge of the Delta variant presents a clear and present danger to all of us, especially our youngest children who are not eligible for the vaccine. There's an additional concern for me that approximately 25% of our county school employees are unvaccinated. We must make decisions that keep our students learning in their classrooms in the absolute safest environment possible. We don't want another shutdown. This decision has life-saving implications. Let us vote to keep all children and staff as safe as possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Smalley. Anyone else? Mrs. Vaughn.
Bear with me, I had to change some things in this. President Neely, fellow board members, Dr. Sachs, and community. I want to thank everyone that took the time to email me, everyone that is here tonight, and those of you that are listening on the YouTube live stream. Thank you so much. I would like to share a bit of my inbox with you. I receive a lot of emails, but I got 2 emails that just happened to be back to back. And I want to share them with you. The first had a subject line that read, "Thank you for doing the right thing." The next email, the subject line read, "You still have time to do the right thing." Now, I thought about those emails for a long time. And I've seen this behavior, I've heard it in conversations, I've read it in emails, and I've seen it on social media posts. And my lasting thought on it has come to an overall observation that is probably going to step on a lot of toes, mine included, okay? I have witnessed parts of our community that have seemingly filled their hearts with self-righteousness. Both sides on this topic have done so equally. I have seen individuals take this and allow it to justify their unkind and disrespectful behavior towards others. Each side believing they are doing the right thing, and those that don't agree with them are wrong. I have heard discussions turn into name-calling sessions with no merit in them at all. This type of behavior is easily justified, but I ask you, is it right? The world is fighting a virus. No matter what steps this board puts in place, we cannot guarantee you or your student won't be exposed to or get COVID because it's everywhere. It's at the grocery store, the post office, soccer practice, Walmart, Target, dance class, the list goes on and on. After hearing what Dr. Sachs said and when you answered my question, we are experiencing not just small groups of students being quarantined, but entire classrooms. If numbers would continue to rise, we may be forced to go virtual. Now, some students excel at virtual learning, and I am thankful that we have a virtual school for those kids. But the majority of students in Cabell County excel academically with their mental health and socially during in-person learning. I want to keep our students in school. I want them to be able to continue with activities and to get to see their friends, even if that means that they see those friends through a mask. I am for parent choice. I want to choose for my children. But I would rather see my children and our students wearing a mask in school than be forced to go virtual. Will wearing a mask keep students from being exposed? Will it keep them from testing positive or even keep them from being quarantined? No, I can't guarantee you that. I can't guarantee you anything. I know that our students need to be in school. If wearing a mask could even in the smallest way keep our school buildings open, then I think we should try. As always, I will support the decision of this board without complaint or celebration. I stand with this board united in our service. I respect my fellow board members and I value them. When a decision is made this evening, I ask that no matter what your thoughts on it, that we choose kindness. Let's take that kindness and give it to our children so they can spread it freely, because kindness is something that no one minds catching. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Vaughn. Well said. Very well said. Anyone else have anything they want to say before I call for the vote? Okay.
Madam President, all I would say is I
Yes.
want to thank everyone who sent me an email and a letter. It was more reading than I wanted to do, but I did read it,
Absolutely.
and I appreciate everybody who responded. And I know everybody has a real concern, you know, and it's real to each of us, and I know all of us too want our kids to be safe, and our staff. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Parsons.
when you have your head in the mouth of a lion, you do not negotiate. As Desi Dean, a professional ball player and broadcaster, said, statistics. Well, the statistics are showing it's going farther, it's going higher. And I'm willing to give up a little bit of freedom to vote yes for the mask. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons.
Madam President, I'd just like to clarify that we had a motion by, just so that for the record, we had a motion by
I'm
Mr.
gonna
Shaw.
I'm going to go back and ask for a motion.
In a
with-
second?
with-
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to go back and ask for the motion with the addendum. Okay. You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent, which included the addition of the pre-K. I want a motion. I need a motion.
Motion to accept superintendent's recommendation?
Mr. Smalley or Mr. Parsons moves.
I second the motion, Madam President.
Mr. Shaw seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Mandate is approved. Okay. We appreciate your coming and your time, and we understand that you can't please everybody, but we feel this is the right thing to do for our children. So thank you so much for your patience and kindness. We appreciate it. Okay, let's go back. Let the room clear. Okay.
A piece of fuzz in my mouth.
Okay, it's cleared out pretty good. Okay, we'll go on to the 3 section of the GED 3000 section, the minutes, contracts, policies, and other items. Is there anything that anybody wants to discuss under that? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion for approval.
I make a motion, we accept the 3000 series.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Bond, seconded by Mrs. Smalley. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That series is approved. We'll go on now to the financial. There was no financial updates, so we'll go on to personnel, professional personnel. Is there anything under the professional personnel that we need to discuss?
Madam President,
Yes, Mrs. Bond.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session it's on page 7,
Page 7.
item number P 5318.
Wait a minute. page 7? Are you sure it's 7?
I thought, let me double check.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, about dead center of the page.
Okay, what is it, P what?
Look at 5055P, and right
Okay.
under that is
Okay, I got-
P5318.
I got you.
I make a motion that we go into executive session on this item.
Okay, Mrs. Bond moves that we go in executive session under P 5318. Do I hear a second?
I second the motion, Madam President.
Mr. Shaw seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll go in executive session. Be back shortly.
Hey, Carolyn, did you have the copies of this? Jen, I think Kristen- You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, can you, while we're in there, can you place them up here for me?
They all have copies.
Oh, they do? Oh, I just need one. I don't think I do. For now. Yeah, I see this, I saw the printed copy, I didn't see this one here, the folder. That's all.
can't see me, man. I knew.
Patty. Good job.
Brian,
Yes, ma'am.
I can't tell you how.
Yeah, you did.
Wanda, was you insinuating we were yes people? Was you insinuating?
Well, I can't take ownership for it. I had Jed do most of it. But he did a great job.
Wonderful.
Good.
You said it.
I said I.
Yes, he is.
But I thought you were, and I'll tell you, how does that is great.
No, I can't take ownership for that. That was Jed. So
That's why I love him so much.
he's great. He really is.
Yeah.
He is a master of words.
Yeah. I said, I am not a yes person, and I'm not.
Neither am I.
Okay. Need a motion to come out of the executive session?
Madam President, I move we come out of executive session.
Mr. Shaw
Go back to
moves.
regular.
Second.
Mrs. Bond moves. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're out of the executive session, and we are now into,
Well,
hold on, there's a lot of 5,000s here. Let me get my glasses. Okay.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
may I offer a motion to accept the 5,000 series?
You may. Mrs. Bond moves.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Shaw seconds that the 5,000 series is approved as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
5,000 is approved. Now we'll-
Congratulations.
Madam President, I'd like to recognize our newest assistant principal of Central City Elementary, Miss Bev Hawley.
Hey! Congratulations.
Now,
Welcome.
Miss Hawley, we'll want you to make sure you see Mr. Flowers for a picture at some point so that we can do a social media post. Oh, you already, oh, excellent. There we go. Perfect. That's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So,
Well, even if you hadn't gotten it, you would have had a good picture.
yeah. And of course, I also want to thank her new supervisor, Mr. Jody Sowers, principal of Central City, for being here to support her. So, thank you, Mr. Sowers.
Thank you, Mr. Sowers. Yay! Okay, now we're going into, we've done the face mask, and now we're going into
We actually,
the discussion and possible consideration of your goals
Yep.
for the 2021 school year.
Thank you, Madam President. As as you recall, at the last board meeting, we had, I had presented my superintendent goals for the academic school year, and there had been one area where there had been some recommendations to make sure we're listed, and that was under Goal 4, under communication and engagement. I've added two additional strategies that I think encompass the intent. The first one is on, and if you look on page 6, you'll see these additions. Strategy 6, under Goal 4 of communication engagement, is a comprehensive employee of the year program for teachers, service personnel, and other Cabell County employees. That obviously the teacher of the year, service person of the year is something we always do, but I think expanding that to other positions like principals, counselors, district office staff, that type of thing, is also something that's very important to be able to recognize. And then finally, strategy 7, which sort of kicked off today
Oh,
is the Superintendent's Superheroes, which would be videos promoting excellence in the service of students. These videos will feature employees and other individuals working in and with our schools who go above and beyond in demonstrating they care about our students and their ultimate success. So you saw that this evening with Mr. Skip Cameron. The goal will be is that we really focus on our superhero employees also. And so I think that what we'll have is a monthly tribute, and it'll be promoted on social media. Mr. Flowers has ordered capes. You saw the first cape this evening, and so we will have, instead of the knighting ceremony, it'll be, I guess we'll have to come up with a caping ceremony. And then, of course, the measures of success on page 7 have also been updated to reflect the Teacher and Service Employee of the Year program that we always do, and then the monthly recognition of employees and community members making a difference in the lives of students on the district's social media platforms. So, Madam President and board members, I hope that captures the changes and the additions that were requested. And if there's any other changes, I'd be happy to make them, but I am asking for approval of the goals.
Okay. Any questions for the superintendent?
I have a comment.
Mrs. Bond?
Dr. Sachs?
Yes, ma'am.
Something I want to commend you for. Before I was even on the board, but under your leadership, you have truly worked on celebrating our employees and our students. I have seen this from day one since you became our superintendent. And I am so thankful for that, because that's why we're here. And we want people to come. And I love that is always a part of your goal, is to continue that celebration. And I love the superhero. I don't know how he wasn't running. If someone gives me a cape, I'm going to run, because it's full power.
Yes.
But it was wonderful. And that right there is a community member, a graduate from Cabell County Schools that is out there doing good things, turning right back and putting it back into the kids.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful. But I just want to thank you for continuing to do that and then expanding on it. So very well done.
Well,
thank you much.
Thank you, and I actually would like to thank Board Member Smalley because, you know, I have really tried to make sure that I do everything I can to recognize our employees. But if it hadn't have been for Board Member Smalley's recommendation that we go back and because I think the intent of it originally was just to make sure I'm listing the things that we're doing to recognize employees, not necessarily to expand upon it, but I think we sort of hit the challenge, and I talked with our communications director, and we came up with this idea that I think was just out of the park, and I was so excited. So I think it goes both ways, is that, and I've said this before, I would not be as effective in my job if I didn't have the support of a board, but I would also not be as effective in my job if I didn't have a board that continues to push. And so I appreciate that as well, so thank you.
Yeah, I want to say the same thing that Alyssa said. It just makes, you know, when you recognize a person, it makes them so special. And if they're doing over and above board and they get this, you know, it's a feel-good thing, and I think we need to do that. I really commend you for that, and you're right, Mrs. Bond. It makes the person feel so good.
Yep.
And I love the celebration part.
Yep.
So, Rhonda, thank you, you know, for bringing that to the attention that we do that. That's great.
And wait till you see the video. Ms. Hayes has been working on it, and it literally feels like you're getting ready to watch a superhero movie.
Really?
Oh, it's got the whole music intro and the credits.
Yeah.
Just think of a cross between Superman and Star Wars. It's really cool. So.
Good. Looking forward to it. Okay. Then our next item.
Oh, can I just can you
Oh,
vote
yeah.
on this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We need a motion on your.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. I need a motion on Dr. Sax's goals for 21, 22.
I make a motion to accept Superintendent Sachs's goals for 2021 to 2022.
Okay, Mrs. Smalley moves.
I'll second that motion.
Mrs. Bond seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It was approved. Okay, next item is, any board members have any items right now that they want to discuss? No? Okay, then we have an update on legal issues. We need an executive session, so I'll need a motion.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session.
Mr. Shaw
Second?
and Mrs. Smalley seconds that we go in executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're in executive session.
Yes. I think this one does too, doesn't it?
This is the revised.
Well, no, this is revised too. We've made these again. We've printed these again.
Okay, well, I brought one from home.
Oh, yeah.
See, I printed that up.
Yeah, this one is, oops. This one is
So I have the same.
yeah. Although,
Got your counters.
I don't need it. I don't know where I got it. Was that from the last meeting, maybe?
you know what I think? I would say that,
I just want the.
oh, it's just looks like it's been printed wrong. Oh, I know what it is. This was the summary of the changes. So I had to put it in here, and so this is supposed to be the back page. This is
Okay.
the first print.
Okay.
It's all the same.
Okay, so
It
I
just- it just
have
printed-
a copy.
It was just presented to you all differently.
Yeah, I just wanted,
Yeah.
I like it when both sides.
Hey, Jed, these, that Krista had printed, I think they need to go, when they, now that it's approved. Yeah, well, no, well,